All right. Our guest today is an 11-year MLS veteran, two-time MLS Best XI, 2016 MLS Defender of the Year, and Austin FC's newest center back signing. It's Matt Hedges. Matt, thanks for joining us, man.
Yeah, thanks for having me.
And welcome to Austin as well. I know you have a wife and two kids. Is that right?
That's right.
And
yeah.
Are they excited to be back in Texas after a little stint away?
Yeah, they're definitely excited to be back. Excited for this great weather that we're having. The warmth is, they missed it. And, just it's home. Texas is home for us, so it's good to be back.
Yeah, I don't think you're going to hear many people say they're excited about Texas in August, but I'm glad that y'all are. So what was Toronto winter or Texas summer? Which one's more extreme?
I think they're both on the extreme end, but I'll say Texas summer. It's a little bit more extreme because, snow is snow, but hot can get hotter.
You're originally from, is it Indiana? Is that where you grew up?
Right, yeah.
Yeah, so I didn't know. I was curious. You've been in Texas long enough that I guess you maybe adapted to it a bit, but
yeah, now it's not a problem anymore. I'm used to it. I'm not gonna say I enjoy it, but it doesn't bother me anymore.
Yeah. I was looking back at kind of your history, just doing some research, and was looking up your draft class. You were picked 11th in the 2012 MLS draft. Do you know who was picked one spot ahead of you?
Sure do. Yeah, Mr. Finley.
Ethan Finley picked number 10. Were you like cursing him at the time? What was going through your head whenever you're sitting there waiting for your name to be called?
To be honest, I was nervous because I was told by a lot of people that I was going to be an earlier pick than that. And then I had I'll be honest, I struggled with the combine. I didn't play well because I don't know, the combine was different then, but it was kind of that was a bigger thing then. And I struggled, and then, I dropped a couple picks. So I didn't know. And, my agent said Dallas. If you got to Dallas at that pick, they probably would take you, but I still wasn't sure. But yeah, that's kind of how it went that day, and I was just sitting there nervous.
Yeah, I always enjoy looking at those lists and just seeing which names I recognize, who did what, but also kind of the revolving doors aspect of it, where it's you were at FC Dallas for 10 seasons, is that right? And so just if you had been taken one pick before and Finley had been taking one pick back, just the course of history would have been different from there.
Yeah, I also got to give a shout out to my club teammate Ray Gaddis, still around, still balling in Cincinnati. It's not every day that two guys from the same club team, little club team in Indiana, stick around.
Oh, nice.
That's pretty cool. Yeah, so right at a long, obviously super distinguished career in Dallas. So talk about, and then Toronto. Whatever happened in Toronto happened, but how did the Austin move happen, and how do you feel about sort of getting back to Texas?
Yeah, I just kind of during the window, had an opportunity to come to Austin, and it was something I wanted to jump at. Austin has a great team, great fan base, it's a great club, and being back in Texas, also back home, I thought it was a perfect fit, and I was like, let's go for it.
There are probably some complications and internal conflicts there, especially with the Copa Tejas going to be decided in Frisco in, I don't know, not that long from now. How are you dealing with all of that? How is that playing in your mind at the moment?
Well, this is my club now. I'm at Austin, so I have to, do my best to, win the Copa Tejas for this team. I mean, I had a great time in Dallas. It'll always be a great memory, but, for me, it's always, for the team I'm on, and my teammates, I'm fighting for them. So it's going to be Austin for me. I got to, always focus on what we're doing.
As fans, we appreciated sort of the FC Dallas fan anger about you ending up in Austin after being a club legend. But that's probably that's just on our perspective of things, and probably not so much yours. So you, came to town, got into a game pretty early on. Can you talk about the system that Josh Wolf prefers to play, and sort of how used to that you are, and maybe the differences a little bit that you think you'll need to adapt to as you play in Austin versus where you've been before?
Yeah, so the system itself, I think Nico and Dallas, similar. I mean, it's obviously not exactly the same, but I think here it's more aggressive. They want to get into get into the attack quicker, get into those spaces behind the back line quicker, and also when we're pressing off of in their end, it's more aggressive, higher up, win the ball back as close as we can to their goal. And that's a little bit different than it was in Dallas. But a lot of similarities, to be honest. And I think it's helped me adapt a little bit to what Josh wants.
And I've been watching some film on you. I mean, I'm passingly familiar with you as a player, just watching your teams play, but I had never really just like focused in and just watched you like I have recently. I think I have an idea of who you are as a player, but can you say in your own words, like how you see your own game and what aspects you think you bring to the team?
Yeah, sure. For me, my first job is always a defender. That's always been my mentality, keep the ball out of the goal at any means necessary. And everything else is kind of like an add-on to that. And, I like to be the guy that covers, I want to be the guy that's covering my teammates at all time. If those guys need to go and be aggressive and press and do whatever, I'm going to be the guy that's, cleaning up any messes, anything that happens behind them. And, that's something that I feel like I can bring to this team because of the aggressiveness of the guys that want to be pressing. You need somebody that, you're not always going to win the ball. It's not always going to go well when you press. So there's always got to be somebody, there to help clean up.
And partnering with Julio Cascante, I know, like watching film from you in Toronto, it was often you were the guy with the ball on your foot, kind of running the build up from you. How does it feel like knowing that with a guy like Julio next to you, that it doesn't have to be you all the time, or like what do you view that partnership looking like?
Yeah, it'll be more dynamic, I think, because when you have one guy doing it, it's a little bit easier to figure out for the other team. But when you have two guys that can do it, it's gonna be tough for teams to contain us building out. Julio, I played against him a lot when he was in Portland, and now with him, he's a great player. He's super aggressive. He wins the ball a lot. He's great with the ball at his feet. That's something that when we played you guys, when I was with Toronto, was something we talked about. He's great at building out. So I think it'll be good to be playing with him.
Well, you had a long time in Dallas was with captain's experience. Obviously, you've been a leader before. Not probably like a super vocal, shouty leader from what I could tell, but like what do you see as your leadership style, and what do you think that brings to Austin?
Yeah, I for a long time it was the lead by example kind of player. Always going out and being the first to do whatever needed to be done, putting the work in. Just I always thought that how can you be a leader if you're not willing to do the things that you're telling other people to do? And so that was kind of how I viewed my leadership style. Obviously, I'll be vocal if I need to be vocal. I'm going to get on to guys if they're not doing the right thing. Just with my experience, trying to lead the younger guys and all those things together. That's kind of how I like to lead. I mean, obviously there's other ways to do it, but I felt that like that was what made me a successful captain in Dallas.
I found a quote from Ryan Hollingshead from several years ago, and he was talking about you as a leader and said that like Matt doesn't talk a lot, like he's not a super loud guy, but he's very thoughtful. And so when he does speak, you listen because it's going to be something important that he's saying to you.
Right. I always thought about that. There's some guys who like to talk a lot and they like to yell a lot. And I feel like those guys get tuned out pretty quickly if they're just yelling all the time and always on everything. And so it was my goal to try to, pick out the most important moments so that people, when there was a moment that really needed something changed or something needed to happen or something, your voice, they hear your voice and they know, all right, we got to listen because this is something that's important. So that was kind of my style.
Well, let's maybe transition a little bit from like leadership to culture. It's very public, like the culture in Toronto and maybe how broken it was. Like, what did you learn from that experience that you can maybe take to your next club?
Yeah, I mean, I was only there for 6 months, so there's not a whole lot that maybe I don't want to take a whole lot of that into this club because I feel like the culture here is fantastic. It's the guys are always want to be around each other. We just had a barbecue today, the asado. And when I was with Maxi in Dallas, same kind of thing. Loved it. He makes a great barbecue. But I think the culture here versus theirs is a little bit different.
I was going to ask you specifically about Maxi's asado, and because I knew you had played with him at Dallas. Is he like where do you rank as far as like teammates cooking? Where does Maxi rank all time for you?
I mean, he's got to be like the top, to be honest. Like it's the best. I mean, what else? I don't know what. Also, I don't know other teammates have actually cooked so much for us. So like, there's not a long list of guys that are doing that. But I always loved those when in Dallas. We used to do them all the time. But It's fantastic. Love doing those. And I think it's great for the culture of the team to get the guys, out of out of the soccer, out of the gym, whatever we're doing in the facility, and get them out and just having a little bit of fun.
This one is from a listener of ours named Spencer Cox, and he wanted to know, you're a veteran now. Like, how has your position, the position of center back, evolved since when you first started playing until now? Do you feel like the position has changed, and have you had to change your game throughout the years?
Oh, yeah, it's changed a ton. I think just, how teams play now. And when I first joined the league, it was a lot of, playing long, the center backs, not a lot of with the ball at their feet, not a lot of trying to break lines or do things like that. And then slowly through the years, it's, the center backs have the ball more and more on their feet. They have to be better with the ball, finding, better passes, breaking lines, doing more. And also, the pressing is different now. I think it's more, aggressive. You need to be more, go win the ball higher up the field, versus it used to be kind of like you just sit back and we'll win the ball and then we'll counter. So it's changed. I don't think I can stress enough how that's a great question. It's changed a ton, like massively, just in the center back position from when I joined to now.
Yeah.
Sorry, go ahead,
Landon. I was gonna say, just like, how do you sort of evolve and like stay on top of that?
You just got to work on your game. I mean, that's what those 5 days of practice every week are for. I mean, if you see that change starting to happen, which I could see it starting to happen in Dallas after those first couple of years, I mean, you got to start. And we changed the way we play too, so we're getting more of that work as well. But if you see the change coming, you got to start preparing for it.
We had Brad Stuver on a couple of times and had him talk about the same thing with the goalkeeper position, just talking about how much more they're asked to play with their feet and how he's had to kind of learn to do that over the years. So I imagine it similar position for a center back, but I don't know what I was doing. I think I was like sick a while back and at home in bed, just trying to find stuff on YouTube to watch the 2005 FA Cup final or something, because it was for free on YouTube, and just watching how the game was playing. Like, this is the Premier League, like the highest level, how direct and just launching long balls at a giant center forward. And it was like, this is unrecognizable to the game that we see on the field now.
Totally different. And, it didn't take but less than 10 years for it to change.
Yeah. It's wild. Let's see. I guess we've been familiar with you as a player, but I've really only known you as a big guy who tackles good. Like, that's the extent of my knowledge about you. Do you have any like hobbies or interests or hidden talents that you I would say that you would want the fans to know about, that you would be willing for the fans to know about?
Yeah, I mean, I'm a car guy. I love cars. Okay. So I have my dream car up in Dallas. It won't be coming down here because it's in its own garage and things. But yeah, I love working on it. I love working on anything. Like, I love doing projects at my house, installing things, just handyman's kind of stuff. And cars. Yeah, cars is a big one for me. I like it. I
imagine you'll have a lot of the...
Sorry, go ahead. I was going to say I play video games with the guys now. A lot of the guys are on the Call of Duty now, so I'm in the squad.
Who's really good? Who do you watch out for?
I think I'm the best.
Awesome.
I'm gonna throw it out there right now. Like, the other guys, they might not agree, but I think I'm the best.
Who are all the gamers? And it's like Danny, Seba. Yes, who else? Who else are the gamers?
Brad, Jossie, John. Some staff are in there. Like, there's a lot of whenever when you get home from training, you turn on, you're going to be in a squad. I feel like there's enough guys.
Well, any other things you want to say to Austin FC fans now that you're here in town?
I mean, I'm just excited to be here. I mean, it's a great club. I've seen it from afar for a few years, and now being involved, I'm just like, it's fantastic. I'm excited to be here, and hopefully, I can help the team continue moving in a direction up the table that we should be going.
All right. Well, we are excited to finally get to see you on the field a little bit more. Good luck with the rest of the season, and thanks so much for joining us.
Yeah, thanks, guys. Appreciate it.